Hi everybody, Andy McPhee here, along with Doug Kenny, the main host of Relentless and Unstoppable. As with each series we do, I let people know how this started. Relentless and Unstoppable started about a year and a half ago after my coaching and mentoring of Doug for 6.5 years. Doug is an incredible human being who was he's dealing with high-functioning autism, and at school he was dealing with obesity and bullying and depression and medication and hospitalization, all those things that tend to come along with when you're dealing with something in life. And Doug, over the last few years, we've had an amazing journey. He's gone from 300 pounds to down to close to under 200 now. He does yoga, running, walking. He's now into bodybuilding, which we've organized and helped him, do it the correct way. His diet is incredible, and it's an inspiration of his story, which is why I created this channel. And since then, I think Doug said to me the other day, and he can confirm this, we've had probably 181,000 views over the last year or so, which is great for a couple of guys who have no idea what they're doing at all, like zero. But we're getting better, and I'm actually learning off Doug now because he is very relentless. He never gives up. So, Doug, I'll hand it over to you to introduce our amazing guest.
Hey everybody, let us welcome our guest, Diamond Darryl. Hey Diamond, how you doing?
Yeah. Howdy, I'm good. I'm really good. How are you
Well,
guys?
mate, I got to say, you're making me homesick. I used to say that when I was younger because I was sick at home, but now I'm actually homesick. And the beautiful corrugated iron shed you're sitting next to, mate, Australia. Love it.
Yeah, it is a lucky country. Good
yeah.
sunshine. Beautiful
it's
in Queensland
beautiful,
at the
mate.
moment. Yeah.
Well, listen, the reason we've got Darryl on here is, again, it's somebody that we believe is of huge value to other people around the planet because of Darryl's journey. And, Doug will lead into some questions about, how Darryl got to where he is now. And it is quite an intense journey. So, Doug, I'll hand it back over to you, mate.
Yeah, Darryl, I must ask you, what are you doing these days?
I run a small hobby business, 12 gauge clothing. I've run that probably since 2002 with the family, and I had some shops and businesses, but with COVID and that, it's all online at the moment. So I've got my Instagram, my Facebooks, and my eBays for just clothing company at the moment, 12 gauge.
What sort of clothing, Darryl? Is it T-shirts or jeans or hoodies or everything?
Well, it started off as a Harley business, believe it or not. So I started off doing selling Harley parts, aftermarket parts. Then eBay got more prevalent and popular, and the part business sort of went down the shit chute. So I started making T-shirts. We had a bike week here back in 2005 or 6, and I made some shirts, took them there, sold them. And then the clothing business, the T-shirt business evolved out of the bike business, and now a fashion label has devolved out of a T-shirt business. So now I do swimmers, I do towels, I do board shorts, I do bikinis, I do tracksuits, I do hats, it's relentless what I do. I do so much stuff. So it's a proper little fashion design label now.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's amazing, mate. Like, seriously, from, like selling bike parts to, and obviously you've never ridden a motorcycle in your life, so that was just a bit of a,
Yeah, there you go, yeah.
That's amazing, mate. That is absolutely amazing, like going into like pretty much everything.
Yeah.
And it's international, yeah?
Oh, look, it's Australia-wide. I post free Australia-wide. I advertise international. I have sent some stuff over to America and England that the postage is ridiculous. But if there's someone that wants to buy a franchise or something, I can post it straight to them. But mainly just Australia-wide. It's mainly just Australia-wide at the moment. It's a pretty well-known brand. I created it out of nothing, and it's just selling yourself, really, and putting yourself into it 24 hours a day. The thing with social media is if you don't get off your phone and allow yourself some time, you're on it, the business constantly.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
so people,
why?
a lot of, yep.
Sorry, go on.
A lot of people think when you've got an online business, it's not really a business, but you do put so much time into it and so much effort. So, yeah.
I was just going to ask you when you said that, how do you take time out for yourself so you're not stuck in your phone or computer all the time? What do you do?
I try to get out and go for a ride. I've got grandchildren and that too. I help babysit. So, yeah, gym. I've been getting back into the gym. I was 120 kilos like started last year. Now I'm back down to 90, but I've lost a lot of fat. I call it puppy fat, but I'm probably over the puppy stage. But you know, but I used to when I was really sick. We'll probably touch on that. I went down to about 60 kilos. So I've gone from really sick to skinny to the transplant drugs that I've had to send me fat, the prednisone and that, to getting complacent, lazy, sitting around, to getting a lot overweight and getting lazy. But it's taken me a year or longer constantly to get into a pretty good shape at the moment.
Yeah.
I've got a long way to go, but the gym that I'm doing, my spare time is gym, which is also mental health for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I totally agree. You're actually looking really amazing, mate. You're looking pretty buff and fit there, so that's awesome.
Not bad for a 50. I just turned 50 in August. So.
Oh, happy birthday, mate.
Yeah, so I'm actually fitter. I feel fitter than I was 10 years ago. So, yeah, I'm pretty good.
Yeah. That's good on you, mate. That's really awesome. Doug, you got some more questions, mate, I'm sure.
Yeah, Darryl, it's really amazing that you have that fashion launch. You know, that's that fashion business. That's really good, you know, but it didn't start out that way. What happened that you struggled with?
It's not really struggled with. I had the parts business did get destroyed by eBay because there were so many cheap parts. So that was that. So where it got to the fashion, the clothing company, and that today. Hang on. Oh God, hang on. That was I'll have to cut that bit. That was an interruption. So yeah. So let's start. So yeah, eBay sort of destroyed that a little bit, and then my shop burnt down. So my shop burnt down in probably 2008, I think it was. And then I got sick. So with the illness slowed a lot of things down. The illness stopped a lot of things. I had help run the shop. My ex done a lot of running the shop for me, but it was if you're not putting into it yourself, it's a bit hard sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. And just touching on that, what Doug asked, I know you did share with us a little bit before. Your health, the health issues that you mentioned, they started at quite an early age. Is that correct?
Yeah, the health thing is, I only found out recently the real genetic problem. For years and years, mine started back when I was about 10 or 12 years old, when I had sort of a bone problem. Like my legs were a little bit bent, and a little bit of bullying at school, but I overcome that the best way I could. I got bullied at school, so I virtually took on the bully, and I won. So I just had enough. But then I found out when I was about 12 that I didn't really find out what it was to reason, so it's a bit hard. They said I'd be in a wheelchair time I was in my 30s because of my legs and my bone problem, so the bone disease that I had. They said, all right, you're going to be in a wheelchair time you're 30. So mentally that plays on. They probably tricked my brain into the way it went, sort of no holes barred, sort of making bad decisions, bad judgments, and all my youth, you know. I tried a lot of drugs and did all that when I was younger, because I thought I was going to be in a wheelchair when I was 30. And that so I must have forgot about that. And it's really hard to remember most of it because I've been sick I've been sick from when I was 12, got told that. And when I skipped forward to I was in my 19, when I found out I had a kidney disease. So I found out I had the
Wow.
kidney disease when I was in my 19s. I was actually in the Gold Coast Hospital for about 4 months, sick with a sore throat, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I had specialists come through. So it was not just a sore throat. They started doing blood tests. They go, well, your blood shouldn't be showing this. Why have you got this? And this is happening. So the sore throat was there. It was like, must have been a throat infection or something. But then they took my bloods and said, hang on, there's something wrong with your bloods. There's something wrong with your kidney. There's something wrong with this. And they couldn't figure out what it was. So I had another specialist come down. This is 4 months after sitting in hospital. At that time, I thought I was going to frigging die anyway. So I proposed to my ex, which is my kid's mum. I thought I was dying, so I was in hospital. And so it took ages to find out I had this kidney problem. And they put it down to, I'll skip that for a minute. And then I was doing all these tests, and I went to the PA hospital up here, which is a good kidney hospital. And I'd done like 24-hour urine test and that. And my output of urine was 27 litres in one day. And that's because I was drinking it, because the brain was telling me to drink water. And I was pissing it back out. But I was pissing everything out, all the vitamins, everything. So, and I was pretty sick at 19. And then I found out that they suspected I had nephrogenic diabetes insipidus, which is a really rare kidney disease. And I'm only patching this most together because it's been a long time since I was 19.
Yeah,
50 now. My life's been pretty wild. But I ended up with the first kidney transplant. And I was only on dialysis for probably about a couple of months I was on dialysis for. So it didn't really affect me. I started home training, went on dialysis. It didn't really affect me, the dialysis bit, because a couple of months, but probably 6 months, something like that. But I got a kidney. I got the phone call one night, and I got had the kidney transplant. That kidney lasted about 13 years. In that 13 years, I lived a pretty wild lifestyle because the trauma of the dialysis, I touch on that point because the trauma of the second dialysis stint really kicked my ass. The first one didn't. So I was a bit complacent because it happened too quick. I was a bit lucky. So the first time I had the dialysis, that's nothing. Then I had a kidney transplant. Well, that's pretty easy. That was simple. So I might have took that for granted. And then I still went out, partied, I drank alcohol, I didn't take my medicine properly, but it lasted 13 years. And you're a bit complacent. Well, if I'm living this lifestyle, nothing's really happened, I'm good. I'm bulletproof.
Yeah.
Which is not the case. The case is you got to really take that medicine, you got to really follow them guidelines, or because 13 years is nothing to the hell and the struggle that was to come. If I maybe if I'd looked after it properly, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
So, but then we'll stick on the health thing for a minute, and then that kidney failed, and then I ended up on dialysis for 5 years, nearly 6 years, and that I did it at home, and that was a nightmare. That was hell. A lot of people do it, but when I first went to the clinic. Because the first time they put the needles in for me, the second time I have to do it myself.
Oh,
and I sat out the front, and I went up there for an interview, and to find out about doing home training dialysis. And they went, okay, let's come in and we'll start practicing you putting these needles in your veins, because you get a fistula put into your arm, which is an artery joined to the vein. So the vein's on top of your arm, and the artery's down the bottom. So they join it, and you end up with a lump there. So you plug a needle in that way, and you plug a needle in that way. So it sucks all the blood out of your body and pushes it back through this artery. That's why you end up with a big lump on your arm. So the first time I went in, they asked me, you ready? I said, in my lifestyle, I come from where we don't stick needles in our arms, like it was a big thing. I sat out the front for ages at the time. I was going to put needles in my arm. My ex-partner at the time said, it should be all right. We argued, and I argued with her all the time. She helped me through a lot of my for a lot of my medical stuff. But I argued all the time. I'm not sticking needles in my arm. It's, you know, blah, 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 blah.
Mm.
So then I started my journey on the home training of dialysis. I think that went for about 6 to 8 months, maybe a bit longer, where I went in centre and learned how to run the machines and stick needles in my arm, and we do our own bloods and do everything was at home. We had virtually a hospital room set up at home. We had trucks roll up with solutions and filters and bottles of dialysis and
Wow.
$1 million machine and all this $100,000 plumbing that goes into the house to filter the water, carbon tanks. The thing that goes into it that people don't see was insane. Like,
Gosh.
big filter on that side of the house, big carbon tanks that have to go into the house. You have circuit breakers for the house. You had filters in the house, a machine, an RO. Everything has to be set up. You have to set up all these pre-packed tubes and cables and set them all up. And
Gosh.
it took ages. So we both learned how to do that. So it was like both of us have to learn how to do virtually a nursing train.
Man, how did you go with, like, a friend of mine used to have dialysis, and in the end your veins start collapsing and you got to keep finding them. Did it get pretty painful in the end to do that?
I'm pretty lucky. I had my fistula put in. That's what they call these bump things. I had my fistula put in probably 20 odd years ago from the first one. I remember the day I actually got it put in, and I found out my mother was dying that day, and she was going to die the next day. And I had my fistula put in. I woke up from the operation. They told me that my mother passed away, which that's another story. Beautiful, beautiful lady. But anyway, that was about 20 years ago. But my fistula was still going. You can get them taken out after the transplant, but I didn't want to get it taken out, and I've had it the whole time. And that itself, I'm on all these kidney pages and that where people ask, "Oh, do you get it taken out? Can you do weights? Can you do this?" I found out there's not a lot of information about dialysis and kidney and all that. From the American pages, it's pretty insane, some of the questions people ask. We're pretty lucky here at the moment. Our dialysis units in that here are really good. But I get a lot of questions and people ask about the fistula. I kept mine in there. I don't want to get off track. But
it makes it easier, right, with the fistula in there, so that you're putting the needles in. It's not.
You couldn't do it any other way. There is a peritoneal, if I'm saying a problem, that goes through the stomach. I didn't want that. I'm too vain to stick stuff in my stomach. And anyone's on that, that's fine. That's fine. That was my reasoning at the time. I didn't want something in my stomach.
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't want it in my stomach. The arm was good enough for me. And it takes. You listen to it, it's like the ocean. It's like constant. It doesn't turn off. So sleeping in that was insane. But you can't have it without it because it does join the artery and the vein. You need high flow. I couldn't, and I'm right-handed, and I have to stick it in my right hand because it couldn't go in my left hand where they wanted to put it because the flow, they do all the scans and that on your veins and your artery, and I didn't have good enough flow in my left hand. So they stuck it in my right. But if it wouldn't have worked, if the flow wouldn't have worked in my right, they'd have to stick an artificial stent in there. But lucky enough, it's fine. So I'm only going off what happened to me. Like other people might go, well, this, but I had a good enough flow in my right arm to stick it in my right arm.
Yeah. Wow, so man, that's, jeez. Did you have another kidney transplant?
Yeah, I had another kidney transplant. So I was on dialysis for about near on 6 years. But before that, since I already had the first transplant, I was probably, look, you get really skinny. I got really skinny, really sick, lethargic. Nothing worked. Like, I mean, as a male, nothing worked. And that's so depressing.
Wow.
I mean, nothing worked, if you know what I mean. And so I went 6 yees, nothing working, and sitting in a chair, getting really skinny. You have a look on my TikToks and my YouTubes, and I've got videos where my face is drawn in. I'm like a skeleton. I'm like a little sick, weaselly looking